I'm I'm chilly.
Okay.
I'm chilly.
All
My
right.
office is chilly. It's always
Okay.
chilly in here.
Okay, so we are ready to get started.
Let's go.
Hello, I am your host, Alicia Bowen, speaker, author, life coach, IT consultant, realtor, all that stuff. The processor, as Dr. Vikki calls me.
That's right.
Um, Basically, I just like seeing the process, seeing how things go from one process to another. So I am here, and we have the wonderful Dr. Vikki Johnson here with us today because especially in this time like this, one thing we need to do is to learn how to center ourselves, to be at peace so that we can focus and do what it is that we are called to do in this season. So that's all I'm going to say. I'm going to let you take it from there, Dr. Vikki. You can
Are you
tell us a
kidding
little
me?
bit about yourself. This is your, I told you, it's all about you. You're going to provide your wealth of information, your soul
Okay.
wealth of information.
Yes.
Just introduce yourselves. Tell us what soul wealth is and how can we get that in this season.
Well, thank you, Alicia,
Okay.
for the invitation to kick off this amazing series. Let me just say that. I was so happy when I got the invite from you to do this because, as you know, I do see you as the processor, bringing it all together, and you have successfully done that with this lineup every Monday and Thursday. I appreciated the frequency too. That was unique. You know, typically people start a conference or a digital conference and they just go in consecutive days, but for you to do Mondays and Thursdays gives people an opportunity to process and
Yes.
absorb. So thank you for your vision and for your amazingness. You dancing queen. Yeah, that's the other name. You left that one off. We burn up the dance floor. But I am Dr. Vikki Johnson. I see many of my Soul Wealth sisters on here tonight. And for those of you that I don't know yet, hello. I am a speaker, author, chaplain. I'm a mom. I'm a media executive. I'm a mentor. And I'm just a down to earth woman like everyone else who is learning to navigate this most uncertain, uncommon, never before have we ever in this lifetime experienced something like this. I mean, I was alive and remember well where I was and what I was doing on 9/11, but that to me pales in comparison to the reality of COVID-19 and what we're facing. So I have been blessed to serve as an associate pastor for 18 years, retired from that role, and am now what I call the mentor's mentor, where I mentor other women and other leaders who have their own tribes and their own communities, as well as individuals who just really want to embody soul wealth. So, what is soul wealth? Soul wealth is the result of women connecting, collaborating, and creating community. And that came to me, Alicia, in December of 2014, when I was preparing for my first TED Talk that I did on the power of sacred sisterhood. And it came to me just as I said it. When women connect, create together, when they collaborate and create community, the result is soul wealth, which comes right out of 3rd John. I would that where God says, I would that you prosper and be in health, even as your soul prospers. And what that said to me was that God wants us to be prosperous in our lives, but we can only be as prosperous as the health or state of our emotions, because your soul is the seat of your emotions. So soul wealth is vision. The 5 tenets are vision, compassion, authenticity, abundance, and legacy. And that is the order, if you will, right? Because without a vision, you perish. So you need vision, a blueprint, a template. You need compassion first for yourself and then others, because you cannot give away what you don't have. That compassion leads to authenticity. The more compassionate you are with yourself, the more you begin to peel away layers that no longer serve you. So that's where that authenticity comes in. And then your authenticity unlocks your abundance. And your abundance should lead you to legacy. And abundance, not just in things or assets, but in an abundance of love, joy, peace, all of the intangibles that give us life. And lastly, that leads us to legacy, which is where the wealth ultimately comes in. Those other four tenets lead you to a place of legacy where you are now aware and mindfully creating how you want to be remembered. And the beauty of legacy is that you can live your legacy while you're still here. Historically, we've talked about legacy and being legendary, after you're gone. But this climate today is a prime opportunity for us to build, grow, and expand, and also enjoy the legacy that we're creating. So that's what Soul Wealth is in a nutshell. You see behind me, it's also my 12th book that I released in August. And what is amazing to me about this book is it took me 3 years to write this book, and it was released this past August 2019. But the title is Soul Wealth: Finding Vision, Compassion, Authenticity, Abundance, and Legacy in the Midst of Chaos. Had no idea that it would have been launched right at the precursor to what we are living now. And so that to me was a clarion call to be a voice to help other people find peace, even in the midst of uncertainty and chaos.
So one of the things that you say that always stands out with me is like when God tells you to do something, you have to learn to agree with God quickly.
Yeah.
So how can we do that in this season? Because I know we're confused, we're uncertain, we're trying to figure out what's next. How can we move ourselves or position ourselves to feel comfortable with agreeing with God quickly?
Well, that's the first part of a 3-part verse. So I think the answer to the question is in the next part of that verse, because it's actually found in Job 22, around verse 21, 22, 23, somewhere around there. And the amplified version of that text actually says, agree with God quickly so that you can have peace, and then good will come to you. So the converse of that is, if you don't agree with God quickly, you're going to be the opposite of peace, which is frustration. So if you don't agree with God, you will live a life of perpetual frustration. What does that agreement look like? First, it looks like breathing. A lot of times, and this is a tool I'll just share, a lot of times we're holding our breath. We're not breathing fully, taking deep cleansing breaths throughout the day. It's like when you're stressed or frustrated or in a quagmire, if you will, and somebody just shakes you and says, Alicia or Vikki, talk to me about what's going on. And the first thing we do when we feel safe, right? That's really an indication that we've been holding our breath.
Right.
That deep exhale is how we really should be breathing all the time. So how do you come into agreement with God quickly? Breathe first, get still. And we've been forced to be still, or forced to, have our movement limited. And then just sit and wait and listen. And as you begin to do those things, agreement looks like coming into alignment with your vision. Like how do you come into alignment with your vision? You start eliminating, decluttering things that don't support what you write down as your vision, which can change. Our vision should be fluid. So after a vision comes to pass, we can either expand that vision or shift or pivot to something else. And that is what this climate has given us the opportunity to do, is to shift and pivot. Why is that important? And why is agreeing with God quickly important? Because if we all just kind of stood in the mirror and told the truth, we would be able to, I'm sure, identify at least one or two things that we were doing or that was a part of our lives prior to this climate that we really didn't want to do.
Mhm.
We were doing it out of obligation. We were doing it out of habit. We were doing it out of a place of dysfunction or toxicity. So agreeing with God looks like coming to a place of arrest or rest so that we can reset our lives and get to a place of peace. And that's what stillness does for you first. And let me just say, as you're getting to that place of agreement with God so you can move toward peace, it's going to look and feel like chaos first.
Mhm.
And in the medical world, it's called a healing crisis. Like after you have surgery, you go into recovery. The first few hours of recovery is painful. That's why you're still on drugs. That's why they have you sedated for a
Mhm.
while. And then even after you come out of sedation and start getting into therapy and moving and doing things again, it's painful those first few hours or days. It's called a healing crisis. So healing hurts first
Mhm.
before it makes you better.
Right. So with the chaos, I know sometimes when we hear God telling us to move, we get friction. And it's chaos not only from what's going on within ourselves, but also around those who are with us,
Mhm.
who are around us. We may get responses, or we may get things that are not, people not in agreement, or people are, it's like, that's stupid. Or how do we face that and continue to move forward in spite of that? How do we know that what we're hearing is for certain something that God is telling us? And how do we know we're agreeing to the right thing, agreeing to actually what God is telling us?
Because it's in alignment. Like we all have this knowing that's deeper than surface level.
Mhm.
And prior to this climate, we were so busy, our lives were so crowded, the
Mhm.
noise was so loud, and we were going from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next, from this issue to this issue, from this bill to this bill, from this project to this project. We could not hear. So this opportunity to be still lends itself to clarity. And that is my answer. Prior to this, we were emotionally cluttered, mentally cluttered, some of us physically cluttered in our spaces because we were always so busy. But
Mhm.
to now be constrained, if you will,
Mhm.
to be still, stillness leads to clarity. And then clarity leads to confidence. And then confidence leads to courage to get you to now come into alignment, agree with God quickly, and you'll begin to eliminate a lot of the resistance, a lot of the voices. See, a lot of times we defer to what other people have to say because we don't have the confidence, we don't have the courage to really move in the direction that we know we should be going in. So that's how you do it. What you follow, what gives you peace. When some of my mentees ask me what they should do, my first question is, what do you think you should do?
Mhm.
Because what I know for sure is that the answer already is in us.
Right.
And when you start following the clues, and the clues are the responses, the clues are the confirmations, the clues are the signs. It can look like people showing up that you didn't expect. It can look like a conversation by the pool looking out over the Pacific Ocean, right? Processor, right? And then things just start coming to you in places and from people you did not expect, moving you in the direction that you had clarity about. And as you move in the direction of clarity, the things and the people that were in the way of your obedience, if I can say it that way, begin to fall away.
Right. Yeah. I know I teach young adults Sunday school, and I tell them, like, this is a season where God has just stopped everything for you. He stopped the world for you.
How about that?
If we look at it in
That's
that
so good.
perspective, we're always talking about, you know what, I've been too busy. I want to start this business, but I don't have time. I want to do this, but I don't have enough time, or too much of this going on. And now he's like, I've slowed down the world. Now what? So like, if you don't come out of this better than you went in, you didn't want it to begin with, because it's so easy to get distracted or caught up in the distractions of what's going on. Like even with the virus, with people losing their jobs, with the lack of the food, so-called food shortage or whatever, it's so easy to get caught up in that we lose sight of what it is that we're supposed to do. Like I just call this is the business. This is the season of minding your business.
Literally. Yeah, literally minding your business. And it's the opportunity to deal with your stuff, right? Like when sometimes busyness is a way to avoid dealing with the deeper layers of dysfunction or residue, things that we've dealt with, but there's still a little dust left. And so this opportunity, this slowdown, this time of stillness and reflection is for us to really just clean out everything, so that on the other side of this, we can move and flow and be. It's also an opportunity to be still, because a lot of us haven't sat still long enough to grieve completely.
Right.
Not just the loss of people, the loss of dreams, the loss of opportunities, the loss of marriages, jobs, friendships, children. You know, it is such a divine reset that we should each give ourselves the gift of slightly shifting our perspective, because perspective changes everything.
Yeah, I think during this season, the hardest thing for us to deal with is us.
Yeah.
It's like times like this that you can't run away from the silence. It's like God is forcing us to actually search ourselves and really look at what we're doing that may or may not be right, or things that we can do better, or things we just need to stop doing altogether. And it becomes, when you're faced with that, it becomes like a silent noise, so to speak, because now you have to deal with the chaos in yourself. Now that you have so much silence around you, now you hear your inner chaos, and then that's where you're forced to deal with it. And like you said, we drown it out with our busyness, or with other things that keep us preoccupied, or with whatever substances or whatever it is we need to silence that noise that's within us. So how can we face that with courage?
Get support. You know, sometimes, and support doesn't necessarily have to be calling me, although that is an option. Like, you know, I'm offering these soul wealth sessions now, where people can just have a safe place to talk for 20 minutes. It can be watching videos on YouTube. It can be turning on soundscapes, you know, on YouTube or on your phone, and just sitting and being. When you silence the noise, it activates the divinity within us to begin to do things one step at a time, one moment at a time. And courage really is doing it afraid. Most people who are courageous were nervous before they did whatever they did. You know, they had some anxiety or while they are doing it. So courage doesn't mean you're not afraid. Courage means just trusting that God is going to catch you when you take that leap, and that you're going to land in a soft place. And the more you do that, the stronger your courage muscle becomes.
Yeah. Denise says that's the inner me. Deal with us when you it's a divine reset. When you silence the noise, it gives you the ability to move. And then she mentioned faith. So yeah, it's all of those things. So back to your soul wealth experience. Tell us a little bit more about that. And is it only open to women, or are men invited? Or because I know
Men get residual benefits. Whether that's husbands, partners, sons, dads, uncles, my work, I'm called to work with women. And that's the clarity that I have, right? Although I do have conversations with men, although men do read my book, I officiate, weddings and things like that. So I have opportunity to serve families, which is inclusive of men and women. However, my specific assignment is to serve women. And it's a tremendous privilege that I find. And that comes from having my own wilderness experience, Alicia, and not really having the sisterhood or the support of a mentor or leader or coach that I felt safe enough with to walk me through what I was going through at the time. And so when I came out of it, my commitment was to be to other women what I did not have. And that's where soul wealth comes from. I am also very clear that the women who I am called to serve will find me. That's just me trusting the process, right? Of life, of my agreement with God. Because the agreement says, if I agree with God quickly, I'll have peace. And here it is, good will come to me. Inherent in that goodness is purpose, is clarity of purpose, is consistency of provision, is continuity of wisdom and strategy. See, that back to that earlier question, as I agree with God, when I agree with God, all I have to do is show up, be a vessel, surrender to the assignment, and what we need is there. People say, some people say God makes provision for the vision. Well, when we do our part, God does God's part. And so that really is how soul wealth has been. I've tried it other ways. But here we go. I've listened to people say, you should do it this way, or you should put, this funnel in place, or you should, create this and do it that way. And every time I doubted what I heard God say to me, I ended up having to come back to what God said to me. And said, now I gave you the vision. I will give you the blueprint for the vision. That's not to say I am not open to counsel, because I am. Because in the multitude of counsel, there is safety.
Right.
There is safety. So that's where it is important for us to be mindful of the people that we are around.
Right.
And who we listen to.
Yeah.
And who we exchange information with. And who we partner with, who we collaborate with. And when we are in alignment and in agreement, we have peace and good comes to us.
Right. Yeah, I think this is definitely one of those seasons where we can assess who's in our circle and really seek out with discernment and wisdom if those people really serve us in this season, or if we need to find a new circle, because we have to have that wise counsel. And if they're not pushing us forward or elevating us, then what's their purpose? So I think that's something that we really have to be not only aware of, but intentional about, especially in this season. We have to be I think for me, I think the season you have to be very intentional with everything, and with the ease that it's so easy to get distracted from those things that we find ourselves still just stumbling along, trying to
Mhm.
figure it out, surviving, so to speak.
And you know
This
what else I
season.
think is important, Alicia?
Uh-huh.
What else is not only imperative that we eliminate the people from around us who are not supportive, whether consciously or subconsciously, of
Mhm.
our assignment and the vision God has given to us. But it's
Mhm.
also important to be aware of who do you need,
Right.
right? Because that speaks to what resonates with you.
Mhm.
And the truth is this: there is no growth inside the comfort zone,
Right.
and there is no comfort in the growth zone. So I heard Stedman Graham say that at a business conference, and it stuck with me
Mhm.
because now the shift, not the leap, sometimes it's a slight shift. The shift is now that I am in my uncomfortable zone, my discomfort zone,
Mhm.
I'm growing. What do I need?
Right.
Right? What support do I need? And then I was on a mastermind call this past weekend, and one of the coaches said, you have to be mindful that your preference doesn't become your poison because our preferences keep us comfortable.
Yeah.
So if I am for example, if I'm an experience driven person
Mhm.
and the results are secondary, I need somebody around me where the results are primary and the experience is secondary. See, that complements the vision. But if everybody around me is experience driven, no one focused on the results, then after the experience is over, if I didn't get the results that were required to move forward in my business, now I'm trying to figure out how to fix something that could have been avoided if
Mhm.
I had someone focused on the results and allow me to focus on the experience. So this time of being still and quiet and contemplative is also examining those gaps, not just on my business board of directors, but in my personal life board of directors. Who am I missing? Do I really, if I'm telling myself the truth, right? Here's the sole truth. If I am being honest with me, I need support with my money. I need support getting my credit straight. I need support with my anger. I need support because all of my relationships are toxic, or I need support with my nutrition or my eating or my fitness. See, it's two sets of boards that we need. One for our business, if you have one. If not, you need one for your professional career. If not, you know, or you also need a board for your personal life.
Mhm.
So important. And this time of reset is giving us the opportunity to move those pieces around so that we can either get in the game or play the game better
Mhm.
if we've been on the sideline.
Yeah. No, I'm so glad you're setting off this series, starting it off, kicking it off, because all of the other speakers are going to be speaking on things that we really need to execute on, in addition to just centering ourselves. But we have to first center ourselves and face that fear and be comfortable with being uncomfortable, because a lot of the speakers who will be on there will be asking us to do some uncomfortable things, starting a business or facing your numbers in your business, or learning about real estate, or whatever it is in the process of what we're trying to do and what it is that we're called to do. There's some steps along the way that intimidate us or scare us, or that we're just simply not comfortable with.
And can
Because
I share something with you? I'm
yeah,
sorry. I didn't
no,
mean
go
to
ahead.
interrupt you.
Mm-mm.
I've had several, and I say several like as in more than 10 conversations with women who have been furloughed or laid off their jobs since this has started. And they didn't like those jobs anyway.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like as we got deeper into the conversation,
Mm-hmm.
they didn't like the job anyway.
Like the Israelites.
And being still and being forced into a position where now you have to use what's in your hands, use what's in your heart, use that vision that's been in your head for the last 10, 15 years. Now, not only are you being positioned to make the shift, but you now have access to resources, i.e., the rest of the Thriving in the Quarantine series, for example, to get the support in place. So now when you come out on the other side of this, you are rolling with a vision, with a blueprint, with resources, with relationships. And I'm telling you, I will say this prophetically with assurance. Through the rest of this and on the other side of this, the people who took this time to rest, cultivate relationships, and I identify resources are the ones who are going to be winning.
Yeah.
On the other side of this.
Yeah, this is a growth season, as you said. I mean, we started off this year. 2020 was the year double portion of clear vision, and we should have expected something like this to happen. Not exactly this, but usually when it's a year of big returns or a big growth, there's always going to be a big obstacle, and this is one of them. And just like you said, it's caused all of us to become uncomfortable, and so uncomfortable that we'd rather take the poison of our discomfort.
Yeah.
So we can move and hobble along and just continue to complain and not be happy, because that's, at least we knew
It was
that.
familiar. Yeah, it's familiar. It's familiar. But this is absolutely a call to step into your power. Absolutely a call to step into our power at full throttle.
So could you repeat the steps on obtaining our soul wealth again? And then I want to open it up for any questions that anyone
I mean, the 5 tenets: vision, compassion, vision, because you need a vision. Without one, you perish. And you need a vision for yourself before you can have a vision for anyone else. Compassion, you need compassion for yourself before you can give it away to others, because we cannot give away what we don't have. Authenticity. The more authentic we become, the more layers we peel back, then the things that are in place for our authentic selves begin to show up, which then unlocks our abundance. And our abundance leads us to a place of being legacy minded and legacy driven to create an unforgettable imprint in the earth.
Okay. So vision, compassion, authenticity, abundance,
and legacy.
Typing it into the chat on Facebook Live so they can see it. Okay. So I want to open up the floor now for any questions that people may have.
Please ask questions.
Yes. Oh, so where can we buy it? Where can we buy the book? That's what someone's asking.
Book is available on my website, VikkiJohnson.com. VIKKI Johnson.com. I would love to send you an autographed copy of the book.
Okay. And how can they sign up for one of your
Soul Wealth sessions? On my website as well. It's VikkiJohnson.com, and right at the top it says book Soul Wealth session. It's right at the top of my website. As soon as you click enter, right across the top, book Soul Wealth session, and you can do that right there. And then we do a one-on-one Zoom session for 20 minutes, just giving people a safe place. And that was a divine download. It wasn't something that I planned. Literally, I woke up maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, and God said, people need a safe place to frame and talk and process. And he said, wait though, wait a few weeks, because in a few weeks, people will be ready to talk. You know, I think a lot of people went into this thinking it was going to be maybe a week or 2 or 3, but now we're in week 7, and probably, quite frankly, intuitively and prophetically going to be at least another 5 or 6 weeks at least before things are truly, mindfully, safely opened back up. I know some states have opened up and some people have gone back to work out of necessity, but it's not time yet. If you don't have to leave home, stay home. This is very real, no matter how conspiratorially we process it. And I have thoughts about that as well. This is very, very real. I get a call every day supporting a family where someone was healthy one week, went into the hospital the next week, and passed away the week after that. Like, this thing is real. And so we have to use wisdom. This is also the importance of community, Alicia, because if I have it, you have it.
Right.
If this is also the importance of relationship. I just shared a powerful conversation featuring Dr. A.R. Bernard out of New York City. And he talked about how his relationships and his resources saved his life. And that's where we are. That's why it's critical to get still, rest, declutter, so we can be clear in our thinking, and then connect to those divine relationships that we have in our lives that are literally going to save us as we go through and come out of this and then move forward.
Okay, that's good. It's good. I have a question from Yanni. Hey, Yanni.
Hey, Yanni.
Speaking with us soon on relationships.
I can't wait.
That one.
Making love better.
Yes, together.
And better.
See, her question is, what tips would you suggest to shift your mindset from the employee to the entrepreneur?
First, there has to be a desire. And so the first tip is to really reflect and examine, is that really something you are called to do and be? Or do you feel some peer pressure to do that? Because everybody doesn't want to be, and it's okay. Everybody doesn't want to be an entrepreneur. It's okay, right? Some people want to thrive in corporate America or, education, or be a homemaker or whatever that is. But so the first step is to examine if you really want to do that, if there's a desire. If there's a desire, then Napoleon Hill says you have to take decisive action. So first is the desire. The desire will drive you or cause you or provoke you to make a decision and take decisive action. Right? And then that decisive action will lead you to the next dot. So the first 2 shifts are, do I have the desire? If I do, I need to make a decision. Okay. When I agree to do it, I then have to be disciplined to activate the tools that I get access to. Like, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you didn't go to college, or if you did go to college and you didn't finish, or you didn't get all the degrees you want, YouTube University is amazing. You can learn anything on YouTube. You can get your textbooks from Amazon. If you don't really have what you need to go to Amazon, you can Google it. And a lot of times there are, pieces of information and resources that are free that you can download. Like, so really it's about the desire, making a decision, and then having the discipline to get what you need. How do you shift your mindset? I think that was Yanni's specific question. You have to replace old information with new information, because what got you here won't get you there. So you need new information, and then you need to repeat that information over and over again. Repetition is what leads to mastery. Repetition of the same information is what leads to mastering that information. So now you're equipped to move into whatever space you're called to or have a desire to be in to be successful. I hope I answered your question, Yanni.
Yes, definitely a different mindset from employee to entrepreneur, because one minute you're waiting to be told what to do, the next minute you're the one that's deciding what to do. And just like you said, decide, make it decisive, take decisive action. I guess that's back in alignment with agreeing with God quickly. So if you put on your heart to desire to be an entrepreneur, you need to agree quickly and move.
Yeah, and you have to have the discipline to endure the wilderness.
Yeah.
Because it's not easy. And we get distracted and delusional about what success looks like when we compare where we are to where we want to be, and to people we think are doing it and doing it and doing it well. Right? But we don't get to see the ugly part, the hard part. Nobody posts the hardness of entrepreneurship on social media. And let me say, very few people post the hardship, right? We want to be Diddy because we see Diddy now. We want to be Oprah because we see Oprah now, right? Very few people post the hardship of entrepreneurship. So you do have to have the discipline. Discipline is for the hard times, not for the easy times. Discipline is for when you want to give up and quit. Discipline is what makes you get up and work out or write that note or read that book a little bit or exercise, when nobody's looking. That's what determines your character and the strength of your character. Who are you when no one is looking? What are you doing when nobody's around to cheer you on? We oftentimes are inspired by the glamour of what people share. But the truth is, our muscles are built when we are pressing in when we don't want to. Right. That's those muscles. Right, doing that last push up when your arms are shaking, that's what builds strength. And it's the same way with our mindset and with, our actions that follow. Because this is the truth of business and entrepreneurship. People who go into business just to make money don't last. Right. You have to have a why. You have what problem are you solving? What service are you providing? Because if you solve a problem well, if you provide a service well, even in a pandemic, people will find a way to get from you what you are offering to the world. They'll find a way.
And I think that's where we all start off. A lot of us start off wrong, is chasing the money behind it. We look at an idea, and because it can make a lot of money, then we pursue it, and then we wonder why we fail at it, because it was never our why in the first place. And we're so doubtful of our why or ourselves that we don't pursue the why, but we don't realize that that's what we're called to do. And I think that's where we have to really take this time right now to really look at that why and figure out how we can utilize that why to serve others, not just to make money, but to serve others. And then the money will come after that.
It will come.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
it comes when you're willing to
Mhm.
do what you do, whether you were getting paid or not.
Right.
That's when you know you've tapped into your passion.
Right.
I would do what I'm doing regardless.
Mm-hmm.
I just made that shift in mindset, Yanni, to now put a business structure around it and be able to have a lifestyle because of it.
Mm-hmm.
But supporting women, I wake up thinking about it, go to sleep thinking about it, is something I would do regardless. And when you get to that place in your heart, then it's easy to be disciplined. It's easy, to make decisions that are in favor of whatever that dream is.
Right. So I have another question from LaQuisha Williams. She is asking, what does resting look like during this time when so many people are saying go and do something?
Staying in the bed if you're tired. Turning off the phone. Staying off social media. Turning off the television. Or binging on Netflix for a day if that's what you want to do with your fluffy socks on and your ankles crossed, like listening to your body. But sleep is critical. Like if you feel sleepy, go to sleep. If you are tired, lay down, be still, and rest. Literally, because doing nothing is doing something. You have to listen to your body. Otherwise, you're not going to have the energy to do what you do and do it well. So for me, since the beginning, like mid-March, there are some days, Alicia, I don't even look at my phone. I don't get out of the bed. I'm telling you. It's like, I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to see anybody. And nothing's wrong. It's just me listening to my body. I need to regroup. I need to be rejuvenated because I can't give away what I don't have. So everything doesn't have to be responded to right now.
Yeah, I think that was me. Like the first couple of weeks of this, I think I watched so much Netflix. And I felt bad because I felt like I needed to be doing something, but it was like my body or my mind, it just wasn't on it. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna sit here and rest. And sometimes we need to do that to settle ourselves, silence the chaos that's going on everywhere. So we can actually start to really tune in to what it is we really need to do and prioritize. So for me, it took me a week or 2 or 3 of just resting and doing nothing and watching Netflix and doing a little organizing here and there, but nothing really kicked into full gear. But now it's like, now I'm at the point where I feel like, okay, I'm ready. It's time to kick it in. And I don't think anything's wrong with that. We have to, like you said, trust our bodies and trust ourselves to know when it's time to move.
Yeah, and nobody is on all the time. So the truth is, the wave of leadership through this is happening in shifts. You know what I mean? Like it's nobody is on all the time, which is why you have to be so sensitive to your assignment. Like literally, is this something I need to respond to? Or is this something I need to let breathe and allow that person to strengthen their muscle, build their confidence, build their courage through this? And that's a daily process. That's something that happens every day. Like you don't make that decision one time and I'm gonna go through the rest of COVID-19 and this is gonna be my posture or my position. That's a daily choice.
Yeah.
And taking it one day at a time is also another tool and perspective. Not thinking about when is this going to be over. Nobody knows. Just be where your feet are. Be present and be mindful and be aware.
That's good. Be where your feet are.
Mhm.
A lot of times our feet are somewhere and we want to be somewhere else.
Listen.
I had one spot. Were you about to say?
I said, no. Listen. I said, listen, be where your feet are.
Yeah, definitely.
And be okay with that.
Yeah, because a lot of times, especially us as women and as mothers, we are not okay with where our feet are in the moment. We want to shuffle over to somewhere else, or we don't feel like our feet should be here, so then we don't walk right in that wherever we are. So we walking in the wrong shoes or wherever, and then we want to go somewhere else. And I think that's the key. That's for me. That's what balance means, is being able to sit in your feet and be okay. Being okay with where your feet are in that moment.
Yeah, being present with what is so that you can shift to what's next. Like, you can't get to what's next until you accept where you are.
Yeah.
So that all of you is with you. Like you said, at every moment, as much as possible.
Yeah. Yanni said yes to this. Say that. LJ Miller, hey, she said she came on just in time because entrepreneurship is surely a different journey or lifestyle. It's not for the faint of heart. Does anyone else have any other questions? Not yet. But I think all this is definitely good right now. I think we really need this, and we really need you in this season.
Thank you, Alicia.
This is definitely I will say a wealthy season. It's despite what it looks like. This is where the harvest is ripe, and if we don't get in position and agree quickly, we're gonna miss it. And I think
absolutely.
This season,
you know what I got too? I went and got when I went grocery shopping a couple of weeks ago. I went and bought me 2 things. So I think this is important also for soul wealth. Add some sweetness to your life. Right? Make it sweet. Where you can sweeten it, sweeten it. So I went and got me some golden Oreos and some half-baked ice cream. Right? And every day I eat at least 2 cookies. When I'm like, ooh, I need something sweet. Or I just grab a spoon and stick the spoon in my little pint, get some of that chocolate and some of those chocolate chips and some vanilla ice cream, and just take a spoonful and then just go and sit down, and I'm satisfied. Like, it gets me through that moment. So I think it is important to embrace the parts of us that previously we would judge. Embrace that. Give yourself the gift of sweetness every day. Whatever that is to you. For me, and I'm not really an ice cream person. I'm not really an ice cream person at all, because I was ice cream to death as a child. I'm not really a big ice cream person. But to be able to just take a spoonful of ice cream, I'm telling you, something that simple shifts everything. It makes me feel better in the moment. So trust your body to let you know what feels good. Activate your pleasure muscle, whatever that is, right? To give yourself some sweetness, because women need pleasure. Women need pleasure because pleasure gives us energy,
right,
to move through life. And unfortunately, the patriarchy in our world would have us put pleasure in the box of sex, I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about just what gives you pleasure. Ice cream is giving me pleasure in this season. Golden Oreos, that's giving me pleasure in this season. A cup of coffee every few days, because I'm not really a coffee drinker, but I love the amaretto cream. It's giving me pleasure in this season. So I want to challenge us to be okay with experiencing sweetness in the midst of this hardness and this chaos, and even in the midst of this peace that we have internally to guide us through, the rest of this COVID-19 and even thereafter. Make it a practice now so that when we come out of this, it's already a part of who we are.
Yeah. So we just gotta give ourselves grace.
Absolutely.
Give ourselves grace. Yes.
And pleasure is not a bad word.
No, it's not.
I'm just saying that for someone who may be squirming a little bit, because I keep saying pleasure, it's not a bad word. And you just have to say it enough until it becomes normal.
Right. Right. Okay, Yanni is asking for you to pray us out because you've taken us all to church this evening.
Okay, would love to.
Y'all gonna reset, but any last information that you wanna
Again, I want to invite you to, if you need a 20-minute soul wealth session, it's a one-on-one Zoom session with me that's available on my website, as well as my latest book, Soul Wealth, is available on my website. And I want to encourage you to be easy, be gentle with yourself. Self-care is self-love, and give yourself the grace that you need whenever you need it, as much as you need it. And thank you, Alicia.
You're welcome.
For
What's
this
your
opportunity to help us thrive. My website is VikkiJohnson.com, VIKKI Johnson.com. And I'm looking forward to the rest of this series on Thursday and then again on the following Monday.
Yes. Every Thursday is something that everybody needs. So just like you said, if I got it, you got it. So just here to share all the resources that I have and allow you all to share your resources, and then we can get through this. And I think that's the best way to actually get through this.
Yeah, together.
Yes. 7:00. If you don't mind praying us out, because I want us to
Nope.
be mindful of our time so we can sit in this for a minute and then schedule those soul wealth sessions if we so choose, or purchase the book.
And then go sit and soak in the tub, right, Vanessa Elam?
Ice cream.
Oh gosh. Hey ladies. Hi Monique. I'm so happy to see all of you on the line tonight. So dear God, we thank you for this time of fellowship, this time of sharing, this time of revelation, illumination, and inspiration, some motivation. God, we thank you for good health. We thank you for life. We thank you for strength. We thank you for Alicia and her vision to help us thrive. I thank you for things being as well as they are. I thank you that even if we were to find ourselves in a place of fainting in our hearts, we thank you because you have given us courage to believe, to see your goodness in the land of the living. We lift up every family impacted by COVID-19. We lift up every family grieving the loss of a loved one due to COVID-19, as well as other causes of death. God, we just thank you for life in this moment. We thank you for peace. We thank you for joy. Thank you for love, for intangible prosperity, for a spirit of perseverance and endurance, for a refreshing and a second wind as we move forward and through this COVID-19 crisis. Help us not to be anxious for anything, but in everything, by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let our requests be made known to you. We honor you. We give you glory. We thank you for a refresh of visions, of dreams, of businesses, of ideas, of creativity, of gifts, of relationships, of reset in families and marriages. We just give you glory for all of the newness that is being birthed in the midst of this crisis that we call COVID-19, but I call it a healing crisis in the earth, because earth was groaning, waiting on the manifestation of the sons and daughters of God. So we thank you for a mindset and capacity to be fruitful, to replenish, to subdue, and have dominion in every area of our lives. We give you glory for sweet sleep tonight, and make us ever mindful to practice self-care, which is self-love, which honors and glorifies you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. All right.
Good night, y'all.
Been
Good
good.
night, everyone.
Well, good night. Make sure you all come back Thursday. We're going to have Ingrid Levine talking about numbers, the numbers girl. So if you need to get your business numbers in order so you can get this PPP or the disaster loan, whatever you need to be on this call Thursday. So thank you all for jumping on, and I will see you Thursday.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Thanks, Dr. Vikki.